What's up, guys? Welcome back to Simply FPL. We've done it. 1,000 subscribers. Now that I'm a big time YouTuber, get ready to see adverts for dodgy apps, terrible product placement, and 5 minutes of each video dedicated to spamming a Patreon. Of course, I'm just kidding. There'll be none of that. So today I had a fun idea for a video. It actually ended up taking hours to put together. So let me know if you enjoyed it. Basically, I've put together 5 teams based on different criteria and tracked how the teams would have done if they were put together on game week 1 and not touched. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. The first team, game week 1 AllStars. So this was the team that after the first game week had the most points. So what we're doing is we're assuming that this same team was together every week up until now, and we'll see exactly how they've done. So first of all, it's actually quite a well-balanced team. So we've got, obviously, the Palace keeper, 5 defenders, which by themselves at the start of the season actually look quite good, spread across 5 different teams as well. Now, the midfield, I think Hendrick looks a bit out of position. Does anyone even own him? His ownership's probably 0.0%, but somehow he managed to make the game week 1 best players. So he's going to be playing in between Salah and Willian. And we've got the lone striker up front, Jamie Vardy. So yeah, looking at this team, 402 points without a captain. And that would have put it in 3.3 millionth. So it's not exactly done too well. I bet there was a few people who used their wildcard after game week 1 and put this exact team in. With a captain, so we made Salah captain, and that brings the team rank up to 807,000th. So it's actually pretty good. It's actually 2 points ahead of my current team. So actually, if I wildcarded to these guys, maybe I'd be a bit happier. Squad value. So the actual starting 11, only 72 million. So very, very affordable. Bit of cash on the bench with Calvert-Lewin and Wilson. So the overall squad value, 97 million. Moving on to the next team, the most expensive team. So put together the most expensive players in the positions, and that's what we see here. So it's pretty much just a combination of Liverpool City players with an Arsenal and a Tottenham player as well. So I think looking at this team, who wouldn't take this team if you were offered it at the start of the season? Overall value with the bench, 135 million. So obviously there's not anyone in the game that currently has it. The starting 11 is actually 107 million. Yeah, I guess there's not a huge amount to say about the actual players. I'd say that they're some of the most owned players, apart from probably Aguero, who's obviously injured. Now, the shocking thing is that if you played this starting 11 with no captain, you'd be 5.5 millionth in the world right now. So you'd be absolutely nowhere. If you captained the most valuable player in this team, which would be Mo Salah again, 3.2 millionth. So I guess it kind of just goes to show that the most expensive players are not always the best players. Because in this instance, even if you had a £135 million team, you'd still be miles off the pace. Looking at the next team. So we've got the Argentinian wannabes. So 11 lads, if they weren't football players, would probably be in prison. So yeah, not going to chat about the individual players too much. But just know that their total points is actually quite poor, as you'd imagine. 271 points, 6.5 millionth. Even if we captained the MVP, in this case would be Johnny Evans with his 4 cards. Still only be 6.4 million. So sorry, I forgot to mention we've actually ranked these based on the cards they've received so far this season. And the squad value, quite a cheap squad, 78.8 million. So I can't imagine there's going to be too many people watching this video in any rush to get this team. Think as well, Vinnie Jones would probably be the manager. This is a Meme Machine 3 type team. The fourth team. So the best points per million. So it's actually quite an interesting one. So what we've got is we've worked out, based on their price, what sort of value do the players offer. So if you've got a player that costs 10 million and is getting 50 points, he's not going to be as good as a player that costs 5 million who may get 40 points. So we basically divided the total price of the player by the amount of points they've got, and we've worked out their points per million. So this is kind of a strategy which a lot of people kind of use when they're putting their teams together, trying to make sure that they're not just buying expensive players who will do average. And that's probably why what we've seen this season is that we've got quite cheap forwards. Most teams have most of their money in their midfield. That's mainly because the price per million for strikers, it's a lot better at the bottom end. So that's what we've seen here. So we'll actually spend a bit more time on this team because it's actually quite relevant, certainly for people considering doing wildcards or looking at transfers. So Martinez in goal. He's in my team. He's averaging 8.3 points per game, which for a goalkeeper is unbelievable. Like he's probably not going to maintain that. If we look at the end of the season, he's probably not going to have 8.3 points per game, because what's that? It's about 300. It's over. I think it's about 300 points, maybe just over. So I'm not sure there's been a goalkeeper that's got close to that. But certainly for the next 7 game weeks, he could potentially maintain that with some of their fixtures. Looking at the back then, so yeah, like by themselves, none of these lads look particularly impressive, but just again, based on their value and their points, they're all looking great value. So Cresswell, obviously, at West Ham, looking quite good again this season. Next to Mings, so you'll notice that we've actually got 4 Aston Villa players. Now, it's no coincidence that, obviously, Aston Villa, they've had a really good start to the season, and generally with the teams that are predicted to finish near the bottom, they'll have quite cheap players. So when those sort of teams go on nice little runs like Aston Villa have, generally their price or their points per million is usually the best value. So, yeah, we've got Mings there in defence next to Vestergaard. Again, personally not ever going to get Vestergaard in. I think Southampton, their fixtures are going to be so bad going forward that I just don't see how he's going to maintain 8.5 points per million. And Zuma, 8.9 points per million. I think he's already got 3 goals with a few clean sheets and bonus points. So yeah, he's looking fantastic value at the moment. Most people have James and Chilwell, but actually Zuma's been the best value defender they've got. Moving into the midfield, so look, 3 lads that most teams probably have, if not all 3, at least 2 of them. So Son, not a huge amount needs to be said. Really, really expensive player, but despite him being so expensive, he's still got 7.7 points per million, which again is a huge amount for any midfielder, certainly for the more expensive ones. Jack Grealish, obviously 8 points per million, so his price has already gone up by 0.5 million. And even at that, he's still getting 8 points for every million spent on him. And Zaha, so again, a lot of people are considering him, but maybe not pulled the trigger. But he's actually one of the best value players this season, 7.3 points per million. And then looking at the strikers, so Bamford is the MVP of this team, 9.5 points per million. So best value player in the game at the moment. Typically at the end of the season, the best value players are defenders and goalkeepers, generally goalkeepers because of their price. But in this instance, we've got a striker. And Watkins, or Walkins, as I've managed to spell his name wrong there, 7.7, and Wilson 8.3. So even though Wilson's kind of gone under the radar, still one of the best value players in the game this season. So looking at how they're doing, without a captain, 556 points. Unbelievable amount of points considering the starting 11 value is only 68 million. So again, let me know, what do you think? If you're using a wild card, how many of these lads are you going to put in that wild card? I'd assume it has to be a fair few of them. Their original rank without a captain, so playing all 11 of these lads, which only cost 68 million with no captain, you'd be ranked 7,137th in the world. And if we captain the MVP, in this case Bamford, 41st, you'd be 41st position in the world with 10.5 million in the bank. So yeah, an unbelievable team. And again, it just shows that when we look at this compared to the most expensive team, it just shows that fantasy football is not really about trying to get the most expensive players. It's trying to find the best value players. So that's what we've got here. Looking at my final team, the Invincibles. So we have put the players with the most points. Obviously, the rank with a captain is first. But yeah, the total points, 624 points. So if we just played all 11 of these since game week 1 and didn't make any subs, we'd have 624 points. The MVP is Kane. So when we captain him, we get another 80. So 704 points this team will get you. You'd be first by a good few points. I think the guy behind you is late 600s. And yeah, the squad value. So it's actually potentially affordable. So similarly to the last team, like if you're wildcarding, let me know if you're considering this team. Now, 104.8 million when you include the bench, but the bench has Fernandes on it. So you could just drop Fernandes down by a couple of million to a Ziyech or someone. And this team's actually quite affordable. So right here, you've got the best team in fantasy football right now over the last 8 game weeks. And almost every player can afford them if they make one change there. So yeah, let me know what you think about that, and let me know if you're going to be using your wildcard on this team. So yeah, that's the 5 teams that I kind of put together just for a bit of fun. So as I said, not a very serious video, few jokey teams there, but let me know what you think of the video. As I say, it took several hours to put together, so if it was worth it, let me know and I'll do some more. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. And I know I've said it the last 3 videos, but this will be the last video before the team reveal. So I've probably run out of ideas now as to what sort of videos to put together. So yeah, we will see you this time next week.